Well, economic experts are advocating more support for micro, small, and medium enterprises, that is SMEs, MSMEs, in Nigeria to save them from any collapse in this harsh economic climate. They also want the MSME operators to equip themselves with relevant awareness of the times and explore creative avenues to raise funds for their businesses. Now, joining me on News Night to discuss this and the way forward for MSMEs is Onele, investment promotion lead at Onyx Investment Advisory Limited. Well, thank you for joining me, Austin.
Thank you so much.
When experts call for more support, what areas and what support are we looking at for MSMEs?
Thank you so much. Let me just give you a background about the MSME space. I would say that the MSME space contributes largely to the economy of Nigeria, approximately 48-49%.
Yes.
Yeah, and this translates to roughly about 88% of employment, right, of the national workforce. So I would say areas that we need to look out for include agriculture. Okay. We need to look out for energy because it is very important that we solve the energy crisis. And then health. I mean, in our last interview,
we're just talking about health. Yeah.
So we need to solve the challenges of the health as well as the fintech. Those are the four thematic areas I think that all stakeholders need to focus on:
health, agriculture,
energy, and fintech.
Fintech.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you call fintech. We're talking about finance there because
financial services, okay, because it's very, very important.
Very important. So these are the areas.
Yeah.
And what support are we talking about here? How can the MSMEs be supported in these areas?
Pretty much, I mean, I always categorize it into two elements, right? Internal and external. Okay. So the internal, I would say more or less like building capacity for them in terms of investment readiness, providing transaction advisory support, and ensuring that they are bankable and they are bankable to receive finance. External, I would say in terms of policy, right? In terms of ensuring that the policy is transparent and as well as it is friendly to MSMEs. I would also say that funding needs to be very critical, right? All hands needs to be on deck to unlock funding for some of the for the MSMEs, right? Because particularly speaking, if you compare Nigeria's MSMEs, we have 40 million MSMEs in Nigeria, very massive.
40 million.
Then if you compare Singapore, that has almost the same size of Nigeria, they have 700,000 MSMEs, right? MSMEs contributing largely to the economy of Nigeria. So if we solve those internal and external factors, we're able to really grow the landscape of MSMEs.
All right. Let's even break it down a little bit.
Yeah.
How would you assess the current contribution of MSMEs, Nigeria's GDP and employment landscape? I know you've spoken a little about it, but let's expand it.
Okay. So I would say that, short answer, we are doing well, right? But there's a need for a more concerted effort to do more, right? And like I mentioned earlier, we have approximately 40 million MSMEs in Nigeria, and it contributes roughly about 49% to our GDP, right? And employing 88% of the national workforce, which translates to roughly about 70 to 80 million people in Nigeria, right? So MSMEs in Nigeria, we are contributing much more, right? But I believe that there's a need for us to provide them support in terms of finance, in terms of increasing the infrastructure efficiency of what they're building, as well as in terms of ensuring that the policies are transparent and easy to follow.
What would you say is the greatest, or are the greatest challenges that MSMEs are facing today, especially in this, call it harsh economic landscape?
Yeah, I mean, everywhere I go, I've been in this space for more than 5 years. Everywhere I go, the major challenge MSMEs are facing is finance, right? I want to raise, I want money, it's just finance. And this is where we play in actively at Onyx. So our job this year is, in collaboration with the federal government of Nigeria, as well as UNDP, is to mobilize approximately $50 million into the MSME sector. And we've been doing a very...
Across the entire...
Exactly. So for the past couple of weeks now, I've been visiting various states, speaking to various investment promotion agencies, as well as engaging some ecosystem enablers to see how we can get, initially I told you about the internal factor, to see how we can get MSMEs sort of bankable. And for the past 2-3 weeks now, I've been engaging with financial institutions, right? Private investors, local and international investors. I've also been engaging with MDEs, as well as financial...
What feedback have you been getting?
All of the... majority is a good feedback, because this is the first time that the effort has been more or less clinical, right? It has been a very good feedback, right? Some financial institutions like the Infrastructure Bank is open to working with us, speaking to Pension Commission and speaking with the Ministry of Trade and Industry. And everybody wants, how can we make this work, right?
So how do you, it's good you're taking that step, clinical as it is.
Yeah.
How do you, is it co-opt? How do you get all of the MSMEs in one port to be able to pass on what you're working on?
That is the difficult part. It's a very interesting question. So the first step we are doing is really a call for application, right? That's the easy step. Secondly, we are engaging the ecosystem enablers, and we are also engaging various development commissions. Nigeria is divided into like 5 development commissions, so we're engaging them, as well as we are also engaging various investment promotion agencies to see, okay, can you give us the categories and list of MSMEs within your region? And then we can start having conversations with them to understand the various challenges they are facing, right? Because we believe that, this is how Singapore developed, right?
Okay.
They developed from regions, right? If an MSME is solving regional problem, it could translate to national solution. So we believe that we need to work from that angle, right? Engaging various enablers, for the lack of a better word, and to ensure, okay, who are the people solving this problem? What are their major challenges? How can we help them? And then we connect them to financiers, investors.
And the issue of monies reaching the right people.
Exactly.
How do you intend to forestall that, where monies don't get to the right people for the right purposes to achieve the objective you want to achieve?
That's also a very interesting question. So how we intend to do that is we plan to really collaborate with, like I mentioned, the enablers. We also plan to collaborate, so in our process, right, we want the MSMEs to apply themselves, and we have the onboarding calls with them, right? We want to really... I know, there's also the challenge of, okay, are these the right people? So we've also engaged various professionals like analysts, right, to really assess the bankability of some of these MSMEs, to ensure that who we are connecting to finance. We know that the financiers, they have their own process, they have their own due diligence process, right? But before they get to these financiers, we need to ensure that they're bankable and they're investment ready, and then we just do the matchmaking.
Yeah, that's when you talked about equipping themselves.